As you should know already, Keepa is probably the most important software when it comes to product research for your Amazon business. So today I want to go over a guide that covers everything from A to Z as far as what settings to toggle on when using Keepa, all the way from live examples of faster moving products and slower moving products, so you can use Keepa to your advantage and scale your business from zero all the way to $100,000 per month in revenue. Let's get right to it. All right, guys, so here's the full Keepa deep dive guide that I was speaking about. Don't worry, I'll have a link to this exact guide in the description below, so you are more than welcome to access it there. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. First things first, I want you guys to copy these Keepa settings first. Pretty simple, right? Just make sure you have the sales ring toggled on. Really quickly, I'm not going to dive too deep into it because I go over it in a ton of my other videos, but the sales rank is simply how fast something is selling, right? So ideally, I like anything to be between 0 to 100K in sales rank, or BSR, best seller rank, same exact thing. The closer the number is to 0, the faster selling of a product that it is, right? So sales rank, simple, have it toggled on right there, bang, boom, bada bop, boom, bow. And then from there, let's go back to the guide. Buy box below, have that toggled on as well. If we go back to the listing one more time, buy box is this pink line right here. The buy box is simply going to, all the buy box is that buy now button. So when you buy now on Amazon, when you press that buy now button, this is that, right? The pink line is the buy box, right? It's telling you what the price is on the buy box, what the price has been in the past, giving you an idea of how stable the buy box is, whether it's stable or not, right? So obviously you want this toggled on, sales rank toggled on. You want new third-party FBA toggled on as well. So all new third-party FBA means is essentially what is the lowest seller that's an FBA seller at that exact moment, right? So if I go over here, we can see right now the lowest new third-party FBA seller. So the lowest third-party seller that is an FBA offer is priced at $25.01, right? So if I go back over here to Saturday, April 5th, which was about 3 days ago now, the lowest third-party seller FBA on Saturday, April 5th at 3:42 a.m. or p.m. I'm not too sure when it was, but it was 25.17, right? So all these orange triangles are telling me is what is the lowest third-party FBA seller at that exact moment, right? And then below that, we have the exact same thing, but for FBM, right? So the blue triangles, or excuse me, the blue rectangles or the blue squares, it are indicating the lowest FBM third-party sellers at that exact moment as well. So right now, right, if we go over here real quick, we can see the lowest third-party FBA seller is $22 currently right now, right? So if I wanted to list this for FBM, I would be competing with the lowest seller that is priced at $22 FBM, right? I have pretty much all these toggled on. I don't have new third-party FBM toggled on all the time. You can toggle it on if you want. Doesn't really matter, but everything else, make sure it's toggled on. And then that goes for the top graph. Now, the bottom graph, which is this graph down here, let me just press here real quick, is the offer count, right? So all you need here is, like, all you need for the very bottom graph, the third graph, is the new offer count toggled on. And all the new offer count is telling me is how many sellers, right, are on the listing and what does the velocity look like, right? So I say in a lot of my other videos too that the offer count gives me a good perception of how many products are being sold on a day-to-day, monthly basis, and a yearly basis based on the fluctuation of the offer count. So you don't really need anything else toggled on. All you need is a new offer count toggled on. The new offer count will literally give you all the insight as far as how fast it's selling. Is it a safe product to sell? Meaning, are there any IP complaints, which we'll go over here in a second, and pretty much giving me all the details I need to know when it comes to pretty much the velocity and all that other good stuff. So this is pretty much all you need toggled on, right? Now, I did not include the middle graph in this guide, but I will say the middle guide in the Keepa chart is very important in the sense that it's actually a new pretty much a new piece that Keepa added to their pie. So what I mean by that is back in the past, Keepa never had this monthly sold option. So when they didn't have this monthly sold option, I would just press subranks and I would never even include that middle graph. But ever since they added that yellow monthly sold line, I've been finding it very useful to giving me a good idea of how many units are being sold per month for that exact product. So in this case, it might not apply to what my point is too much because this is a solo listing, but on a variation listing where there are other, pretty much other products and other sizes and other different variations in the listing, typically we would obviously base everything off the offer count, right? The offer count is going to tell us how many units are being sold a month or how many units are being sold in general for that specific product, right? And we kind of have to give a good assumption to it, right? Which still works. I still do that to this day. But this yellow line right here kind of gives me an idea of, okay, now that I know the estimated sales is above 10,000 sales a month for this exact, for this listing, had this been a variation listing, right? This 10K per month would have been applied to all of the products overall. So it would have been 10K sold per month for every single product, right? For all the products collective together. But the cool thing about this middle graph, right, the yellow monthly sold line, is that it's going to tell me exactly how many units are being sold on a monthly basis for the exact product that I'm looking at, right? Which really helps us narrow down exactly how many units are being sold for that exact product, so we don't have to just necessarily rely on the offer account, because obviously this is going to account for the entire listing. Now, in this case, like I said, this doesn't apply too much to my point because this is a solo listing, meaning there are no other variations. This is a solo listing, so the 10K plus per 10K sold plus per month does apply to this exact product. But in a scenario to where there were other variations, this monthly sold would be really crucial and really helpful to giving us a better understanding of, okay, how many units are being sold per month for that exact product, right? So I like to have this toggled on as well. None of this stuff really matters. All you need is a monthly sold toggled on, new offer count, and then everything we went over above here. So that's that so far. Now, if I go back down here a little bit, I want to go over what are the non-negotiable traits in a Keepa chart, right? So first and foremost, no massive increase in sellers, right? So it goes back to the offer count, right? Let's say this offer count looked like it was going in a upwards trend, right? So if the offer count ever looks like it's on an upwards trend, that could be a red flag, right, for future price tanking. Because obviously, if sellers are increasing in competition, that typically means price might go down, right? And obviously, you want to avoid these kind of things, aka price tanking, because that can bite into your margins. Now, as you become a more experienced seller, right? Once you get my shoes or other bigger sellers in the industry, people still tend to buy these types of products because sometimes if you have the excess capital, you might hold that inventory so that when the market does go back down, you could sell it at that higher price point. But obviously, that's a little bit more of an advanced topic. And again, that's something that's something you'll have to catch on your own as you scale the business. But for anyone new, right? For just anyone in general, I do want to say, as far like when it comes to increase in competition, you want to be very careful about these things. You do want to be careful because obviously, if you don't have the excess capital, if you don't have a large amount of capital to put into the business, then your cash flow is very important, so you can reinvest quicker in the business and scale at a more efficient rate, right? So obviously, pay attention to massive increase in sellers. Now, no IP complaint history, and by the way, I'm going to go over all these examples. I have examples down here, which I'll cover in a second, but no IP complaint history. So in the offer count, this is why I said earlier the offer count pretty much tells you everything you need to know about a product. No IP complaint history. So if there are any sudden drop-offs in the offer count that do not look organic, meaning it doesn't look like a fluctuational movement, it looks just like a sudden drop-off, that could be a clear indication of an IP complaint, right? So you want to avoid those things too. You need to see up and down movement in the offer count, right? So the more up and down movement you see, the more, or AKA fluctuation you see, the better selling of a product that it is, right? The more velocity it has to it, the more demand it has to it. So now price taking examples, right? Boom, here we go. Here's one price taking example, that I was just going over, right? You see the offer count going up, and then you also see the price kind of, slowly going on a steady downhill, right? So like I said, typically these two things are inverse, right? So if you ever see the price going up, offer count is probably going down, right? Because less competition, higher demand, right? But if there's more competition, it's gonna be lower demand, right? Meaning price is gonna, kind of drop a little bit. A reason a price would tank, item is probably very easy to find. So let's say you have no discounts to make it good, or you just get unlucky, it goes to a lead list, but you can't really control that. But if the product is very easy to find, for example, you just hop on the website and it's already discounted, and then it's already profitable if you plug in a seller amp, probably too easy to find. Your competition is probably going to find that exact same product, and it's going to be cooked, right? Want to be careful. Now, if they have discounts, they're easy to find. So, again, right? These are kind of things you want to pay attention to, right? Offer count rising, price dropping. Be wary of those things. Likely to tank, right? Let's say something is profitable at 15% off at Ulta Beauty, right? There's no gift cards, no rewards, no etc. And it's just profitable at 15% off at Ulta, right? There's just a 15% off site-wide sale. Use no gift cards, use no rewards, use nothing at all to make it even more profitable. Well, your competition is probably going to find the exact same thing, and you're going to be cooked, right? Be careful about those things. Now, something good at Walmart, right? So let's say, we have something good at Walmart that has no variations, and it's just by itself. Like, again, likely to tank, right? You want to be careful of these things. You want to keep these things in mind when you are sourcing. So keep that in mind. Now, what's unlikely to tank, right? We know Raccoon Shoes. They have $30 off, $149 plus buy one, get one 50% off, and you're redeeming rewards from the last week's purchase, and the product does have variations to it, right? You see all these discounts that apply to this one product, and this one product has variations to it, meaning it has other different sizes and colorways and other different variations in the listing, then it's probably going to be harder to tank, right? Unlikely to tank, right? In other words. Or a Puma item that has 2 Amazon listings and is $20 plus, but below a pound. So FBM is really nice, and maybe the title isn't perfect, right? Because sometimes when the title isn't perfect, and let's say something is above 20 bucks, I see this to all my clients as well. If a product is above $20 sale price, but weighs below a pound, could be really FBM friendly because you're paying very cheap for shipping and your margins are going to be really good, right? So yeah, that's kind of my little gist going over, the whole price taking side of things. Now, IP complaint history, right? You see that nice little drop off right there? We want to avoid that, right? As Amazon sellers, we want to avoid that because that can harm our account, right? An IP complaint, also known as an intellectual property complaint, is when the brand does not approve of you selling their brand on Amazon, right? And obviously that could pretty much ruin your account and essentially, violate your account in a way where, it could be really damaging and, really, really pretty massive, right? You want to avoid these things. I've gotten hit with IP complaints. If you do get hit with an IP complaint, not a big deal. I do have a video in my YouTube channel going over exactly how to fight them, so watch that video. It covers exactly how to beat that. So if you are dealing with one, check out that video. I go over all the really good details that you need for that. So yeah, IP complaint, avoid those. Now, product that has no movement, something that does not sell at all, right? Something that doesn't have a lot of velocity to it. See how this blocky offer count looks like it's going up and down, super blocky, right? That is probably going to tell me there's not much movement in that product, right? And we want to avoid that kind of stuff. Avoid that. Now, something with decent movement, something that has some, good blocky movement to it. The offer count is moving somewhat pretty decently. That might have decent movement to it, right? You can see the more fluctuation that is in the offer count that looks organic, the more likely it is a better selling of a product, right? So you want to take note of these things. Great movement, right? Good movement, right? You see how you see how tiny the up and down movement is in the offer count, how great the fluctuation is. This is a product that sells pretty well, right? That has good velocity to it. So you will notice these patterns a lot more as you go on, right? So if you are new, it's okay. You just have to expose yourself to more products and you have to get more proof of concept. This is why I say make test buys. This is exactly why I say when you sell your product, see why it sold. See how it sold. Look at the Keepa graph, look at the Keepa data, and see exactly, okay, this is why I sold a lot of it, because the offer count looks really good, because the fluctuation is really, really high. The monthly sold is really, really high as well, right? So take note of these things. So yeah, what data to look at? The more you buy an item, the further back you want to look at the Keepa chart, right? So let's say I were to buy a bunch of this product right here, right? If I go back, we could see the stability in the buy box is not too bad. So if I'm going to go deep on this product, for example, I could expect to sell this around a 25, 26, right, 27 FBA range because the buy box shows stability in that price all year round. So if you want to buy 100 to 1,000 units of a product, you want to look more back at the Keepa chart because that's going to give you a good indication of, okay, how stable is this product going to be in the future? And can I rely on the price to stay fairly similar to where it is at now and to where it was in the past, right? The less you buy of a product, the less you need to look back at the data-wise on Keepa, right? The more temporary of a market you can get into. For example, I tell a lot of my students this too. Let's say a product has a ridiculous ROI right now. Let's say in the past it's not very stable at the ROI, but it sells fast. You can buy like 10, 20 units of it. You can sell out of it quickly, and you can make money in that temporary market before the market goes back down to where it originally has been, right? So again, these things will become a lot easier, and you will understand it a lot more as you begin to scale and as you begin to become a more experienced Amazon seller. But these are really good things to expose. I'm really glad I'm showing you guys this stuff because this is all the stuff that I would have needed had I just started today as well. So I hope you guys are taking notes, right? Plot all this stuff in a notebook. You gotta go back a little bit and or if you have any questions about anything I've gone over so far, drop in the comments below or DM me on Instagram. I can kind of walk you through it a little bit more. Now, the same equation is used in that for wholesale purchases, right? You got to look further back because they have the most lead time, right? RA has least lead time, so you can hop on stuff more quicker, right? So what I mean by that is, let's say you're gonna buy a wholesale order, right? Typically, wholesale has large POs, meaning you're spending a lot of money on a singular product. You want to make sure that money you're spending has reliability to it as far as pricing goes. So you want to look back at the Keepa charts a lot more in the past, right? Compared to an RA product that you could have bought in at that maybe bought a grocery outlet, for example, that sells ridiculously fast, but the lead time, it has the least lead time, meaning, you're getting that product same day, listing it that same day, and selling it potentially that same day as well. Compared to wholesale, you have to wait till it comes in. You have to send it to Amazon. It has has the most lead time, meaning you want to be more sophisticated as far as, okay, with acknowledging the lead time of this product, is the price still going to be stable, and am I still going to be profitable by the time it checks in to Amazon, or by the time I list it for FBM, whatever you decide to do, right? Cool. There you go. But yeah, other than that, by the way, guys, this is like probably the most in-depth Keepa tutorial that I've done in a while, so make sure you're utilizing this as much as possible. I also wanted to cover is buying an item for a seasonal flip. Look at how it did last year. So if you're going to hop into Q4 this upcoming year, right? For example, November, December area, it's going to be really helpful for you to see on seasonal products how they did last year, right? Did the price skyrocket? Was there a lot more demand to it, right? And you might even sometimes see some sort of pattern throughout the years for a product if it's been out for a long time. For example, let's say you're looking at ornaments, right? Let's say you're selling ornaments on Amazon, for example. You might see that all year round is at a specific price, but every time December comes around for the last 5 years of that product, the price skyrockets and demand drops. Or I should say competition drops because the velocity picks up so high and the demand is so great because everyone's shopping for ornaments on Amazon during Christmas time, right? So keep these things in mind, but I do want to say things in general, right, are way less seasonal than most people think they are. People still buy slides, people still buy shorts, people still buy hoodies in the summer, people still buy all these, slides and shorts in Christmas too. People still buy clothing, and people still buy a lot of products all year round, no matter what time of the year it is, right? Right. So really the only super seasonal stuff we all agree, really the only super seasonal stuff we all agree are on holidays, right? So like, if you're gonna look at Christmas stuff or, those types of things are probably gonna be a lot more, a lot more seasonal, a lot more in demand during the holidays, right? But again, majority of the stuff that you do sell are not as seasonal as you might think they are. So just keep that in mind as well. I'm gonna say the Keepa buy box stats are crucial for gauging where the buy box is going. So just for an example, let's go to data. Buy box stats over here real quick. Let me refresh this so it can pull up real quick. This is really going to give you a good idea of where the buy box is going and what percentage of the buy box is being taken of at what price, right? So we can see 2 days ago, 8 hours ago, right? People are winning buy box at 22.81, 23, 24 even, right? 9 days ago, 2 hours ago, some guy got it at 24.10. So like looking at the buy box stats is really going to give you a good idea of where the buy box is going, where can you win the buy box, and what percentage of the buy box can you get at what price, right? So keep these things in mind too, because they do really help. Other helpful Keepa features, right? Buy box stats, tracking alerts. Tracking alerts are really helpful to giving you an alert on when the price does increase. So let's say we go to price history and we want to know when the market goes back up to, let's zoom in a little bit more. It goes back to $32, right? So if I go to track product, I can literally, track for 1 year, track for however long I want, start tracking. And now it's going to tell me, right, if I go back to track product, it's going to email me and notify me when the price is. Here, I'll even kind of refresh this real quick. Just kind of show you guys what that looks like. I can track product, right? If I want the buy box to be, let's say, $24, we'll say here, we'll save them like $29. $29 or more, right? And I press start tracking, right? I can get notified every single time on my email saying, hey Hish, this product right here is back at that price again. Go attack it, right? And this, this is a Nike sock. This is just an example, right? I mean, you could apply this to any and all products, right? So tracking really helps a lot. That stuff does really help a lot. You can also check, FBM. You can check how to FBM, right? So for example, depending, let's say, for example, this product right here is an example, right? You can see this is mostly an FBA friendly seller listing, right? You can see all these check marks are FBA sellers. So something like this, you're probably going to be more prone to FBAing it compared to FBM, just because of the fact that it's really demanded as an FBA listing compared to FBM. So obviously you're going to compete a lot better if you're an FBA seller in this case. I want to say, price off of the buy box. Do not price off the lowest price. People will always go to the lowest seller. I don't want to say people, but newer sellers will always sometimes go to the lowest seller and compete with them, when in reality, that lowest seller might not even be winning buy box. Now, of course, price does play a role, but the buy box could be going off completely different sellers that have way higher price points, and yet you're pricing with the lowest seller, missing out on tons of profit because you're not educating yourself enough on that listing, right? So I always say, go to buy box stats, see what the buy box is hitting as sellers, and That way you're not making the mistake of going off the lowest price rather than actually going off the buy box, which is what you should be doing. Last but not least, I do want to end this off by saying my last rule of thumbs, right? Do not automatically avoid no BSR listings. So if a listing does not have a sales rank attached to it, because sometimes Amazon does not attach sales ranks to listings, that doesn't automatically mean it's a bad product, right? The listing could have gotten detached from the main listing, right? Sometimes Amazon split listings up, and sometimes the really best-selling product in that variation listing could have detached from the main listing, and now Amazon didn't, attach a BSR to it. So again, I always say base your velocity off of the offer count, right? Never really just go off the BSR. I'm not saying the BSR is irrelevant. It definitely is relevant to a certain extent, but the offer count is probably the most relevant thing when it comes to velocity of a product, right? So always look at the offer count. Do not automatically avoid high BSR listings, right? Again, could be one of those things where it got detached from the main listing and Amazon just didn't attach a BSR to it, right? So keep that in mind as well. Do not automatically avoid no seller listings, right? You can see right here, let's say there's no sellers right here, and you're looking at this time of the product where there are no sellers. It could just be that the product is such a great product that it's sold out. And now you could be that seller that hops on the listing and sets the market back to wherever you want to set it to and make your margin and make your profit really, really high because you're the only seller available, right? So keep this stuff in mind as you're going through with it, right? Do not automatically avoid high sales rank items. Already went over that. And now, do not automatically avoid PL listings on SellerAmp. SellerAmp will always sometimes screw people over because they're saying there's private. It could be a PL listing or there's an IP alert, right? When in reality, SellerAmp is very inaccurate. You want to base most of your logic off of the offer count. If the offer count looks healthy and there's no IP or PL complaint or just no complaints in general throughout the offer count, it's probably a good selling product, right? And I've had tons of buys to where SellerAmp was telling me, do not buy this product. It could be an IP alert or there is an IP alert on this product in SellerAmp, right? But look at the offer count. It looks clean. Looks great. It looks healthy, right? So obviously, I'm not going to be fooled by SellerAmp. I'm still going to buy that product. So keep these things in mind as you're going on with it, all right? Keep that in mind. With all that being said, if you guys got a lot of value out of this video and it really helped you guys, which I hope it did, please drop a thumbs up below for my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to subscribe and turn on those notifications on so that every time I drop a fire video for you guys are automatically notified. It really does help. But with that being said, drop any future recommendations in the comments that you guys want me to attack. I'd be more than happy to hit those for you guys. Without further ado, you guys also want to see my day-to-day basis, more content of me scaling my Amazon business and helping out other people scale their Amazon business too. Check out my Instagram at ecomhish, just like my YouTube channel, same socials, same tags. I'm very active on Instagram. But without further ado, appreciate you guys for tapping in, and I will see you guys on the next one. Get rich, get money, time to work. Let's get it.